Yep, I'm not done here. I'm gonna sell all these toys one day. The least I can do is have some kind of video record to show that I did in fact own them at some point. This time we're gonna do the Godzilla edition. Yippee! This is probably the most expansive set I have in my entire collection, so strap in, grab some popcorn, get comfortable, because I'm gonna go a bit longer on this one. So let's start off, fittingly enough, with the actual first Godzilla toy I ever got. I remember this. A lot of these were like Christmas and birthday presents. This was one of them. I asked for a Godzilla toy for my birthday one year, and I got this one. This is the 2001 design for Godzilla, the Bandai version for the one from GMK, just the one with the scary blank white eyes. Not that you'd know from my version of it right here, because if I can focus in on that, you can kind of make it out there. You see that there is these kind of like little pink splotches on the eyes. It kind of looks like he's raising one eyebrow. I never noticed that before. Anyway, the reason why there's these little pink spots on Godzilla's eyes here is because when I was a kid, I didn't really understand yet why what design this was supposed to be representing, or why the eyes looked that way. I just thought, it's kind of weird that Godzilla doesn't have any pupils. He usually has those, to my recollection. I know what I'll do. I'll just take a red Sharpie and draw some on there myself. That aside, as for the toy itself, I mean, it's fine. It's honestly, it's not the best representation of how Godzilla looks in that movie, and I don't even really think it's the best Bandai figure. I think there are plenty that look better than this one, or look a little more accurate to how that particular version that it's supposed to be a representation of actually looks. This one, though, I mean, for like my first Godzilla toy ever, I obviously didn't complain. It just kind of was what it was. I was just like, yeah, I have something Godzilla related. Woo, woo. But obviously this was just the start of my collection. There would be many more that followed. Oh, and of course, you know, I wasn't really exactly precise with the way that the pupils align, so his eyes are facing two slightly different directions. Continuing along with the Bandai theme that I started, and not really going in order of when I got the toys anymore, I've got these two right here. Both of these, I'm pretty sure I got them from the same place. A lot of these I picked them up like in person. I don't think there are actually that many that I deliberately sought out, like I got them online or something. Most of these I either just kind of found and picked them up at like comic book stores or something, or they were gifts that were given to me by other people. First of all, we've got the Bandai version of Burning Godzilla. This is one of the more popular Bandai creations. This one I know for a fact is Bandai creations. I think there are a lot of people that have gotten this one, and for being one of the most popular ones, I'm not sure it's one of their best. I mean, with all these Bandai toys, it's like you just kind of get what you get with them. They're really simple, and you know, obviously they don't have like very complex articulation or anything like that. For what's just meant to be kind of a basic representation of this particular version of Godzilla, it's fine. But I mean, obviously, you know, you look at the finer details, and some of them are a little off. He's got kind of a weird head. It's got this weird, almost kind of like bulbous nose and the eyes. There's clearly an attempt here to recreate how they look in the film, but it doesn't quite work. Dorsal view isn't too bad, I must say. You know, outside of that, I mean, there's really not much to say. You've seen this one before. You know what it looks like. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you might even have it. There's really not much more to go over other than maybe the fact that the limited articulation in his arms means that he can either do this or do this. Look, he's about to throw up. Great. And then another Bandai Creations figure, another like 6-inch one, or 6-inch scale one, I don't know what the exact height is, especially since this one is leaning forward a little bit, is the Godzilla 2000 version. This one has got a little more color to it, and maybe a little bit more detail. The spines, these like really spiky think I've voiced my opinion on this before, but I'm not like a huge fan of, this particular design for Godzilla. I think that they kind of improved the general aesthetic that they were going for with the 2002 design, but obviously the 2000 design, or the Miragoji, as it's officially known, is much more iconic than that one is, because a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for, particularly Godzilla 2000. I don't know too many people that have the same level of nostalgic attachment to Godzilla vs. Megaguirus. And why would they? The main thing that I will say about this is that, first of all, the way that this foot is positioned is kind of awkward. It's like meant to be kind of curling up on its toes, but it doesn't really look right, and it just kind of looks awkward. It looks like he broke his foot. And another thing is that this one has even more limited articulation than usual. No tail, like, swivel, no head rotation, no anything except just arms and legs. So a total of 4 points of articulation, whereas something like this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think 7. I think the tail is supposed to move. I don't know if the camera can pick this up. There's this kind of shine at the base of the tail here that almost looks like glue, like dried glue. So maybe this isn't supposed to move, but it's just sort of worn down over the years. But a lot of other Bandai figures have this kind of, rotation at the base of the tail, so I don't know if that's the case. Whatever, I'm done talking about this one. And I'm also kind of done talking about this one. There's not really much else to say other than that. Much like with the suit itself. No, actually, I don't know, maybe he looks a little better, like, looking at him head-on than the actual suit does. And honestly, this is maybe one of the more accurate Bandai figures. It doesn't look exactly like the suit, obviously. Wait a minute. Wait, okay, I said that the tail couldn't move, but look at this. Look, there's clearly a seam there, and a little bit of paint. Whoops, but there's clearly a seam there. So was it originally supposed to move, but they removed that bit of articulation for some reason? I don't know. I will give them credit for painting the spines all the way down through the tip of the tail, though. That's something. That's gives him an edge over the Burning Godzilla figure. But aside from that, I can't really say much more about this one. Now moving right along to the ubiquitous Godzilla Final Wars 12-inch Bandai figure, this absolute masterpiece. You've likely seen it, you likely own it, or know someone who has if you're watching this video, and just look at it. Oh man, I mean, technically it's not the most accurate version of the suit. I think the smaller 6-inch or 8-inch or whatever it is version looks closer to how this version of Godzilla actually looks in the movie, but man, I don't care. It just does its own thing. This guy still looks pretty awesome. The bigger scale allows there to be a little bit more detail. You can tell they really put a lot of work into this one. I think a lot of these Bandai figures were they started coming out right around the time that Final Wars was released. And I mean, you can tell that this was the big release. This is what they want everybody to get. Because, I mean, look at it. It looks awesome, yeah. I don't know, with a figure like this, you kind of have to weigh your opinion on the design itself versus the actual figure, because I'll say that the Final Wars Godzilla design isn't really my favorite look for him. I think he's a little too skinny. So I'm kind of okay with them taking some creative liberties here and not having it look exactly like how he does in the movie. Because if I'm being honest, I kind of like the design here more than how he actually looks in the film. Alright, now moving on to our next troop of figures here. I've got the NECA ones, starting with, I think I got this one first, so I'll start with it first. I've got the NECA Godzilla 2014 figure. Yeah, this is another one you've probably seen before. Oh, there's a little bit of hair on his snoot. That's not very good, is it? Godzilla's not supposed to be hairy. Anyway, yeah, you've likely seen this one before. Even if you don't personally have it, it's another one that it was pretty popular. It seems like it's one of the more common figures to come by, or at least it used to be. But yeah, as far as that holding up as as an actual figure, I mean, it's alright. Like, obviously it's been outclassed in nearly every aspect by toys made by both other companies and even other figures made by this same company. But, you know, for what it is and for how long ago it was released, I think it's fine. Articulation is a little awkward, like this leg swivel right here. If you can't see the problem here, yeah, you kind of see it. First of all, it doesn't really swing out like completely, like properly. It looks more like he's just about to sit. Quit manspreading, Godzilla. Yeah, when it swings out, it kind of swings outward and leaves this, you know, ugly looking gap in where like the base of the leg and the thigh actually swings outward. Not too bad, I guess. I don't know, most people are just gonna display it like just sort of facing this way, or just kind of standing. I don't think too many people are gonna be displaying it like this. And then for the second NECA Godzilla figure that I got, which I think was also the second one released, I've got this one, which is meant to be a depiction of Godzilla as he appeared in Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, but yeah, the design didn't vary a ton from, I mean, post 1984, but I'll get to that. But anyway, like from 1989 onwards, the design didn't vary a whole lot throughout most of the Heisei series, so you could just consider this their version of the Heisei Godzilla. Except I actually think I do think they did a NECA. I think NECA did a 1989 Godzilla at some point, which I don't have. But anyway, kind of like with the 2014 one, I mean, it's not perfect, but just for what it is, and, you know, given that I got it for like $20 way back when, it was a little while ago. I think it was like 10 years ago or something, but anyway, or almost something like that. I don't know. Yeah, just for what it was, it's really not, it's a pretty decent figure, with a lot of articulation. I mean, NECA figures, they're known for their incredibly detailed, you know, sculpts and having a whole lot of posability, and as far as that goes, I'm having trouble bending the leg. It's kind of stiff. Oh god, Godzilla, you're all old and creaky. The one weird thing about this guy that I've noticed more than any of the others, what's with the color of his nails? Why are they like green? What, did I get this around like St. Patrick's Day or something? Was that what did I get a special edition where they had the finger and toenails painted green? I don't know why, but the thing that this immediately makes me think of is Shamrock Shakes for some reason, and now I just kind of want a Shamrock Shake just looking at these. And now moving on to another NECA Heisei Godzilla figure, one that's a bit of a downgrade from the previous two, is the 1984 Godzilla 1984 figure. The one thing that this does have over the 1994 figure is that they've gotten the fingernail colors right. They're no longer like weird green color, they're more closer to brown. Aside from that though, it's kind of, it's a little awkward. The head, it kind of looks like how we did in the movie, but it also looks a little, I don't know. I mean, that suit in general was kind of awkward looking already, especially from the front view, and they did capture that reasonably well, I guess. Yeah, for better or for worse, but from the side view, I mean, I think he actually looked pretty good from certain angles in that movie, but something about this one, it just, I don't quite know what it is, but something about, it's like they get it, it's like it's just off enough that I can't really pinpoint what's wrong with it, but I notice. And then as for the rest of the body, as for the rest of the sculpt, the thighs are a little too beefy. I know, you know, Heisei Godzilla really didn't skip leg day the further we got into the series, but in 1984, they weren't like this chunky, I don't think, so that's not entirely accurate. I like how they have, you know, that suit kind of had this odd thing where the spine, the largest spine was like in the kind of the middle of his, or like in his lower back. It was like closer to his tail than it was to his neck, which they don't usually do, but they did that here, and they captured that here. And overall, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of a mixed bag, this one, but I think it's worse in general than than the previous two NECA figures. Why did it take me so long to figure out what to say there? Also, this was another figure that suffered from a little bit of customization on my part. This one I just straight up don't even get. There's like little flecks of red around his mouth, and I think that may have involved me putting like clay or Play-Doh in his mouth at some point. Not Play-Doh, like the philosopher. No, Play-Doh, the clay toy thing. Why did I say that? That was really dumb. No, wait, I answered my own question. That's why I said it. But yeah, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I think maybe it was like that was supposed to be meat. I was supposed to make Godzilla eat something, but I mean, newsflash, past enemy, Godzilla doesn't eat meat. Dumbass. Now moving on to something that's a bit of an improvement over the last one, the Godzilla 1954 figure. Now this dude is awesome. I really like this one. I think they did a really good job with capturing the look of it. They even have the kind of saggy neck folds, kind of like making it look like it's an actual suit, or a guy in a suit, which, I mean, you know, is accurate to how he looked in the movie, because he was a guy in a suit, as you can kind of see with the gray tongue and the general gray tone. This figure is actually colored like it's in black and white. Like, even the claws are kind of like colored that way. They're not really like nail colored. They're kind of bone white or like stone gray or something. So it looks like they're in black and white or black and gray or whatever. They capture all of the design aspects you'd want them to about this particular look, for better or for worse. Like the tail being a little too short on this particular design. They get that down. The one thing that I will say is that with the legs being as big and bulky as they are, it makes some of the articulation kind of hard to access. I can't really bend the knees a whole lot. There, I did it. That was totally worth all the force I put into it just to get it to bend this much. Are you kidding me? Oh, now you don't want to cooperate. Come on. I got people watching. Godzilla, bend your knee forward. It's not worth it. It's not. No, it's clearly bent. No, I refuse to give up. I will not give in. I will re-extend this knee. There we go. There we go. I did it. Way to put me on the spot like that, douche. All right, now let's up the quality a little bit from the previous. Here I have my SH MonsterArts figure. Singular. Yeah. Oh, I know what you're thinking. Wow. Only one SH MonsterArts? Well, some fan you are. Yeah, because it's not like this one cost me $70 the first time I got it or anything, and that was like almost a decade ago. You can imagine how much they go for now. I think they fetch like at least over 100 on average. Yeah, SH MonsterArts. Only have one. I cherish it dearly, even if it does have some defects, most of which are my fault. Not all of them, though. I'll get to that. The main thing here is that you see this little ring around the ankle. And you see how the ankle here is a little bit skinnier. Yeah, I lost the other one of these. I have no idea where it is. So these toys, well, not really a toy. These figures have been through a lot, and they've taken some damage, you know, over the years just from me owning them. But you know what? That means they were loved. All right, that's how you know they were loved. I mean, of course, as an SH MonsterArts figure, you know that it's going to look absolutely amazing. It does a really good job at capturing the design it's going for. In this case, the rebirth Godzilla that we see for like 5 seconds at the end of Godzilla vs. Destroya. But it, for all intents and purposes, it's just another, you know, attempt at a Heisei design from SH MonsterArts. And this is one of their early ones, too. And obviously, with it being SH MonsterArts, you know, there's going to be a ton of articulation. The sculpt is going to be very detailed. The paint is going to be really nice looking. But there's also there's some annoying things about SH MonsterArts figures, particularly early ones. And the big one for this one is the gaps. What's with the gaps? I can see right through Godzilla's hips and out to the other side. I mean, look at this. Look at this. Now that's what I call a thigh gap. Obviously, though, that's just a nitpick. I mean, you know, when you're just have it displayed on your shelf or something, then you're not really going to be paying attention to that. It's just going to sort of be there to look awesome. And to assist in looking awesome, you've got this little breath effect right here, the atomic breath. Whoa, of course it's red, because this is Godzilla vs. Destroy Us, so they made it red. There is a blue one that I don't have. And then you can just kind of open his mouth, stick that in there, and there you go. Boom, Godzilla, atomic breath. Alright, there's not much else to go over. It's an SH MonsterArts figure. You know the drill by now. They're great, but also really expensive, so this might be the only one I ever have. So take it in. Oh my god. This is scaling down a little bit because most of the ones I've been talking about are on the larger end. They're like, you know, 6 inches, 12 inches. Now I've got some little guys to go over. I'm just gonna go over all 3 of these at once because they're the same figure. Just repainted. You've got these 3 little guys right here that are all burning Godzillas. You have, oh crap. It comes in 3 different flavors. You got orange right here. You've got, you know, cherry flavor burning Godzilla, which is how he actually looks in the movie, because, you know, fire, red, whatever. Actually, maybe this one is a little bit closer, because orange is also red. And then one that doesn't make any sense is this one, which I guess, I don't know, it's kind of clear and, like, vaguely yellowish, so maybe it's lemon flavor. But this one doesn't really have any relation to how... Actually, no, maybe it does. Maybe this is meant to represent when he gets frozen by the jet in that movie. I'm maybe giving them too much credit there. But these ones, I mean, there's really not much to talk about. They're just silly little figurines, really. There's not even any articulation. They just kind of stand there and look cute. You know, you put them on your desk or whatever, and they're just kind of there. Or you could, I don't know, you could have them like this. You could put them on like a loop or something, and then put it on your key, you know, like be like a keychain or something. And then the other one of these little minifigures that I have is this one, which isn't really meant to be Godzilla. It's meant to be Godzilla Jr. And look at that smile. I just realized he's got this big cheesy smile on his face. Like, what are you so happy about, Junior? What is it, the fact that you're about to be reborn as this guy? Is that what you have to look forward to? Actually, is this to scale? I think this might actually be a little closer to scale, because Junior's really not very big at all when compared to his daddy, or his future self, so he's like less than half the size, I think, if official sources are to be believed. Okay, those were most of the groupings for the Godzilla figures that I felt like going over, but there's also I also have some weird, I want to be very comprehensive with this, so I have some kind of just weird outliers that don't really fit into any particular class, trope, I don't know, whatever. And one of these is this Godzilla 1989 Piggybank that I originally saw in a store, like that, you know, resells old toys or whatever, near where I live. And I thought that it was like a figure that would, or display or something, but no, it's actually a piggy bank. It's got a little slot right there that you put coins in. I wonder if there's any change in it right now. No, but you open it up by just unscrewing the tail like that, and then empty your money out, and then that's that. I mean, it's a cute little thing to have. It's a pretty funny way to carry around your change, I guess. Well, you wouldn't carry this around, but you know what I mean. You know, you have this here, and someone is like, oh, what's that? It's like, oh, it's my Godzilla piggy bank. And this is yet another one that I defaced in some way. See those little flakes right there? These little flecks? Yeah. I once made this, like, homemade ooze thing. Like, this homemade slime. You know what that is? And I dumped it all over this guy. So, if I've learned anything from Toy Story, then I know that toys are alive and have feelings and are sentient. And depending on what this Godzilla figure is into, that was either the worst experience of his life or the best. Yeah, you like that ooze being dumped on you, didn't you, you filthy animal. And last, well, actually, it's not last. Not last or least is the Trendmasters Godzilla right here from the 90s. Yeah, this was not one that I got while it was new, but it is something that I wanted for a while, and I got it not even a few years ago. This was actually a little bit. This was a little while ago too. Most of these are not recent acquisitions on my part. They're pretty old. Anyway, yeah, this one, I mean, for a toy from the 90s, it's obviously dated, but I still gotta find it. It's got a certain charm to it. It's that super, like, souped up buff 90s aesthetic where everything was just everyone was on roids. Of course, he's green, because why wouldn't he be? They did eventually make a black repaint that had more correct colors, but whatever. And of course, it's based off the Heisei version, even though most of those movies hadn't made their way over to US shores by the time these toys were coming out, so why did they even bother? And of course, what would a toy like this be without some epic lights and sounds? I got this off eBay, and the batteries were already pre-installed, and I have not opened the battery trays right here, by the way. It's this center row of spines. You can even see it shifting upwards like that. Yeah, I have not uncovered this battery tray in the entire time I've owned this thing, and I kind of don't want to, because, you know, I don't know how long those batteries have been in there, or if they're even the same brand of batteries. I don't want to... Part of me kind of doesn't want to know what is waiting for me on the other side of that battery tray. Maybe some things are just better left up to the imagination, you know? Okay, so that about takes care of the actual Godzilla figures that I have, but obviously Godzilla is a very expansive franchise with lots of different monster co-stars. So I do have some very limited amount, all things considered, with most of my Godzilla toys are just of Godzilla himself, but I do have a couple that are of some non-Godzilla monsters, like Mecha Godzilla, or Kiryu, or Kiryu, if you want to be extra purist about it, and get the pronunciation right, or as right as possible. Anyway, this is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool figure and everything. Very accurate to how he actually looks in the movie. Is Kiryu a he? I don't know. I made a whole video about this, and I still don't really know. I think so. Whatever. It's Mecha Godzilla. Mecha Godzilla is based off of Godzilla, who's usually depicted as a he. So I guess Mecha Godzilla, by extension, is also a he. He's a he. I would do the Michael Jackson thing with that, but he can't really do it because even though this is very well sculpted and well designed, especially for a Bandai figure, the articulation is really lacking, because this is it. It's actually pretty fitting to how Kiryu reacts when the spirit of this guy takes over. It goes and that was my accurate summation of the Kiryu saga. I hope you appreciated it. I couldn't make his eyes go red, though. I need the SH MonsterArts figure for that, and I don't feel like finding out how much that costs, especially nowadays. But yeah, the lack of articulation would be a little more forgivable if the pose was a bit more dynamic, as it is. It's not awful, but he just kind of has his arms swung out, and it kind of looks like he wants to give you a hug. But maybe I'm okay with that. Maybe I wouldn't mind a hug from Kiryu. Come here. Come here, Kiryu. Oh, it's okay. It's okay, buddy. I know it sucks having kaiju dissociative identity disorder. But we'll get through it, okay? Alright, yeah, come on. It's alright. You're good. You're my favorite Mecha Godzilla for a reason. You're the best, bro. I appreciate you. And then next up, I have a couple of other non-Godzilla kaiju figures that I'm not gonna go too long on these ones right here, because I already went over them a little bit in my G-Fest video, so there isn't really a whole lot left to talk about. In fact, this Anguirus figure that I think is part of the same line that spawned these guys, because they're kind of in the same scale. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it looks similar. It's got a little bit more articulation, so it might not be part of the same one, although that articulation, to be fair, is just kind of the joints that were used to snap it together. But yeah, I put this together on camera, so if you want to see that and me going over these other ones and a bunch of other stuff, you can just watch that video. But anyway, aside from that Anguirus one, I've got this Mothra, this 2003 Mothra, and the Biollante figure, which is really cool, but also very difficult to transport, as I, again, went over in the video. So I'm not going to go too much longer on these guys. They're pretty simple. Biollante especially, though, for like just one of these kind of, you know, simpler Bandai vinyl figures, looks really good. I really like how she's designed. The sculpt is very nice. Couldn't be bothered to paint the inside of her mouth, but that's, you know, is what it is. But yeah, I like these ones quite a bit, especially this Biollante one. I think she's pretty cool. And finally, or not finally, I actually think I have one more after this, but wrapping up this part of the video, I'm just sort of here on the ground, is the latest addition to my Godzilla collection, this Rodan figure that I got for Christmas. Look at him. Look at that. Look at how orange he is. Kind of looks like candy corn. That's interesting. Anyway, this one is part of a line that none of these other ones are a part of. I can't remember what the company is called or what the line is called, but it's that one that it's like comes on cards and they're all retro related, and their logo is like obviously, you know, a take on the old Kenner logo. I don't know. You can tell me, or I'll just find it out later. Whatever. You probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this Rodan is one of the most like, well, it's one of the most like articulated ones because it's got a good range of motion. You can actually move the wings, which you can't usually do on the winged figures from someone like Bandai. Rotate the head and everything. But I mean, obviously the texture and sculpt and everything is a little less detailed, and the paint isn't as complex because this is obviously trying to kind of recreate the look of like older action figures and older toys from, you know, Kenner and stuff like that kind of thing, because it's a throwback or whatever. And the wings on this guy are really loose too, I guess. Maybe that's supposed to make it look like he can actually fly. I don't know, but anyway, yeah, just for what it is, it's a cool little toy. My absolute favorite thing about it is that, first of all, he came packaged like this, like he's looking off to the side, and that just enhances this really, like, judging expression he has on his face, if you can see that. Yeah, it's like you do something that annoys him, and then he just looks over, and he's just like, hey, you. Why don't you go fuck yourself? Anyway, that about does it for that particular installment, except wait a minute, no it doesn't, because I have one more to go over, but in order to do that, I have to detach my camera. Alright, this is the last part of the video. I'm switching over to camera audio, by the way, so that's why it's gonna sound a little different. But anyway, gaze your eyes on the ultimate, the apex of my Godzilla toy collection. This big mama llama right here. If you don't recognize this, this is the Jakks Pacific Godzilla 2014 figure, toy. I'm pretty sure it's actually a toy that came out the same time as the movie. You've seen him in the background of some of my videos, probably. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you haven't watched those ones. He's currently displaying Star Wars on Laserdisc, along with... Nah, that's a story for another video. But anyway, yeah, you can see here, I have to squeeze in a little bit because it's a bit of a tight corner that I have to get around, but and it's also incredibly difficult to contain the overwhelming girth of this magnificent beauty. This thing is huge, by the way. It's like 2 feet tall, which doesn't really sound that big now that I'm spelling it out like that, but when I got it, certainly it appeared even more massive. It doesn't quite look as impressive, but it still looks pretty cool displayed like that. And it's honestly a pretty decent figure for what it is. I mean, it's, you know, more aimed towards children, but they did a decent job at capturing how he looks in that movie. Except this bright red tongue, I don't know how accurate that is. And again, it looks like he's smiling. Okay, holy shit. As I was, like, cleaning up and picking up all my Godzilla toys to get ready to import the footage and edit it and do all that stuff, I remembered that I actually missed one. I missed one of the figures that would probably be fit to show off in this video, and that is this King Kong toy from the Peter Jackson toy line for the 2005 King Kong movie. pretty good figure for what it is. Obviously, you know, it's children's toy, but I mean, it's, you know, it's got a decent, looks fairly accurate to how Kong looks in that movie, and it's got the scar detailing and everything. There's just one problem with it, and that is the fact that, yep, he's an amputee. Obviously, they don't all come like this, but mine was kind of positioned high up on a shelf and took a bad tumble, and that's what happens. So yeah, a lot of synergy with the first dinosaur toys video I did with toys in my possession losing limbs. This one didn't do it on camera though, so he kind of loses points for that. But yeah, keep your animal figures away from me, or they will become amputees. So lesson learned, I guess. I guess my other figures are probably lucky they made it this long, aren't they? Okay, that's the end, actually. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and until next time, see ya.